Okay, hello everyone. I'll be the talk master for this one, but I'll also participate in the discussion. This is the Ruby BoF. It's a meeting we try to have on every DebConf for the Ruby team to discuss the past and the future. So this is going to be facilitated by Lucas Kanashiro and Utkarsh, so you guys can take it up from here.
Thank you, Terceiro. So welcome everyone to our Ruby Team BoF section. I also have my friend here, if you don't know him from last DebConf, this is Linguado. So say hi to everyone, Linguado. He will help me. He decided to join the Ruby team this year. So I'd like to welcome everyone who is here as well. Utkarsh and I decided to skip all the presentation and everything because we have a lot to discuss. So if you are here, if you are following our BoF, please put your name in our pad. There is a section for the people who is present here, so please add your name there. So our agenda is basically this welcoming session. We'll talk about some statistics that we have from our team, what happened since our last BoF in DebConf 19, some kind of a retrospective about the Ruby 2.7 transition, what we should improve, what went well, and all those things. The Rails 6 transition, the same thing. And also what we want to achieve for the next release, if you want to discuss about the Ruby 3.0 that will be released at the end of the year, and also discuss about possible sprint, and we don't know, an online one this year or maybe next year, and some other topics. Okay, so we forgot one topic. It's about the GSOC project that Utkarsh is working on. He will talk about it when the time comes. So let's go to some statistics about our team. Last year, I tried to gather some data to present in our BoF, but it was not possible because I didn't have enough time to do that. So after some digging, I found the Team Metrics project, which Andreas still maintains, and which is great. So I talked to him, and he also added the Ruby team to this project, and now it's live, and we have some data that we can discuss. So thank you, Andreas, for that. So let me share some graphics that I have here for you.
Yeah, don't freeze, please.
Yeah, it will not. Don't worry. Yeah. Can you see it?
Yes.
Great. So, okay. The first thing that we have here is a graph with the number of uploads done by each person. So here we have data since 2005 until this year. The thing that I want to mention here is that in 2015, 2016, we have this peak here, which is Praveen doing many uploads. So it's decreasing over the time, which is great, which seems that we are helping Praveen and he's not doing all the work. So I think that's a good thing. We can discuss more things here, but we want to just show general data for you.
I think I just changed my name. If you see, there is Pirate Praveen at bottom.
Really? Oh, man. Okay, we should check that. Right, so we should file a bug report against Team Metrics and see what we can.
You are introducing bad data into the system.
Great. The other thing that we have here is about VCS commits. Do you want to?
Yeah. So as you see, I think something happened to Cedric in 2016. So he just did more than 5,000 commits.
The sprint during the sprint in Brazil where I made a lot of commits to.
Oh well, I mean,
to the repos.
He's the guy. I mean, he did like more than 5,000, 6,000 commits. And then you see after last year's BoF, since Brazil, we did some nice changes, which is pretty visible in 2019. That is around 3,500 commits by me, where I essentially broke Salsa by introducing Salsa CI pipelines. Well, yeah, we did a lot of work. And even in 2020, janitors doing a lot of great stuff. And the rest of the statistics are visible, and we'll just go over them quickly for now. Yeah, so I think it's the same thing. 2015, Praveen is just creating a lot of packages. He's doing great stuff, which has gone down, I think, because he changed his name again. But I think it's good that more people are, you see a lot of newcomers are, helping the Debian team here, which is kind of great because we're just sharing the workload. So yeah, that's essentially a good thing, I think. We hope that more people after this BoF, come and join us here. The next thing is the list activities for the Debian Ruby list. I'll not talk about pre-2018, so I'll just talk about post-2018. Well, essentially in 2019 and 20, after last year's BoF, it looks like me and Praveen have been sending a lot of RFH help requests for a lot of things. So we are just there on the top. And well, it has, the important thing is that since 2011 until now, we have been, the activities have been decreasing so far. So which is kind of interesting because it also points us that we are maybe not using the list more, or that we have we started communicating via IRC. So that's kind of interesting thing to note, the decreasing number of mails per year. So I think that's that from this stat.
Yeah, so another graph that we have here is this one, which we have bugs closed by team member. So we can notice here that the numbers of bugs closed are decreasing. So we can infer some stuff from this data, but I'm not sure. That can mean that, I don't know, we have less bug reports. We are not fixing all the bugs, or maybe the quality of our packages are increasing and we don't have bug reports. So I'm not sure how to analyze this, if you can get any insight from this data. But the fact is the number of bugs closed are decreasing over the years. So
I think one reason could be because the GitLab and Diaspora had a lot of ITPs, which now kind of stabilized. There are not many new packages, so each of them would be one bug at least.
yeah.
But the ITPs are bugs on the WNPP package, so I don't think they count as team bugs.
Yeah.
Today,
So
I think to have a look at aging bugs. I don't know if we can have this kind of view, because sometimes we have a lot of bugs at Python, but if we do a bug triage, which is very annoying, but then we can remove a lot of bugs that are just for all versions and not applicable anymore. So I do that for my packages sometimes. And
yeah, we can keep discussing this on the mailing list, I guess, if you want to find out what's the root cause of this or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting to.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, some interesting data that we have here. So just want to show you that. Other thing that we have is the number of maintainers per package. So this graph represents the data from the Elliott. So it's old. So Most of the package has like 2 uploaders per package. This data from Elliot. And now from Salsa, we have like 4 uploaders per package, which is great because we are sharing the workload and responsibilities, and we don't have a bottleneck, someone that does all the work. And so I think it's great, something that we are doing great. Any comment about those things?
That's really nice.
Yeah, I think we're doing great work. So should we move on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So we have a yeah.
You could probably unshare your screen right now.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Let me do it.
Great. All right. So what all happened since the BoF last year? We did a lot of stuff. We did Ruby 2.7 transition. I think that was really amazing. And we also did Rails 6 transition thanks to Praveen. More about these two are going to be discussed later. So I'm just going to cover the main topics. And the best thing about the sprints is that we got in touch with an upstream maintainer. Thanks a lot to David. It was really important for us, and it was pretty nice that we got to know a lot of things. So yeah, and we also started monthly IRC meetings, so that is nice too. Had it hadn't been for the sprints, I think we would not be doing so. So it's kind of nice that we talked about this and we made it happen. So we also defined a policy for micro transitions, right? So these are some good things that has happened since the last BoF, and we're going to talk about them in detail in the upcoming sections.
Yeah, great. So let's start with Ruby 2.7 transition. So this is like retrospective. So it would be great if you could give your inputs and let's discuss about it. So in our opinion, Utkarsh and mine, so we think that it was great, this Ruby 2.7 transition, more smoothly than the previous transition. So mostly because we did a lot of work during the sprint in Paris. So we think that it was a great idea. It was a 5-day sprint, not just 2 or 3. So we were able to fix a bunch of stuff and have many discussions around those things. So we think that it was really great. And the other thing is that we started to share the workload about the Ruby interpreter. So Tesero was doing all of that. And I know he also wants to spend some time doing other stuff like DebCI and auto package test. So I try to help him with this Ruby interpreter thing. So I think that was great. And the next time I might be able to do it. I will need his help, but I think it will be smoothly.
I'll just run away and you won't see my face during the next transition.
Yeah, so the pad also says that Kanashiro is the guy. He's been helping Tercero, so maybe he can also run for DPL, Tercero. You can maybe. You've got more time now. So the next topic on the agenda is Rails 6 transition. I
think we have a history, Lucas was DPL from the Ruby team.
Precisely, yeah. Maybe Shred wants to continue that further? No? I think you're not audible.
You are muted.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
You'll be applying for the next DPL, right? So you're going to carry on the you're going to carry on the legacy, and then approve all the sprints, please. Yeah, that's the main part.
Sure.
Never mind. So moving on to the next topic, there's Rails 6 transition. A big thanks to Praveen and Shruti for doing all the work. So incredibly well, and it was very nicely done. I'm very sorry that nobody was able to help, but it was really carried out in a very nice way. So Praveen, you want to talk about this more?
Yeah, I think the starting initial work was done by our his name
Jungmin Kim.
Jongmin Kim. Yeah, he started the initial work, got the Rails 6 into experimental and stuff like that. And I think I got some help from this
Karthik Kulkarni.
Karthik Kulkarni and also recently Abraham Raji to complete some of the Rails 6 fixes. And I think we still have some of those left. We need to finish that to get. But I think the important one blocker is the yarn package because now the Rails has integration with Webpack and Node.js, so it has a dependency on yarn package. It's a recommends, but it still blocks. I think it's not recommend. It's still a direct dependency for the Rails meta package, so it still blocks the Rails transition. And the yarn package is stuck because of the Babel 6 to 7 transition. So it's going to take some time to unbreak that. So I think it will take some time before the Rails moves to Bullseye.
I have a question on the Rails transition, Praveen. Maybe you know how to answer it. What's the most common cause of problems in a Rails transition? Is it like just Rails changing API stuff breaking, or is it that packages are the reverse dependencies are using Rails the wrong way and then they break when Rails upgrades?
I think one of the very common one was the auto package test, the new app kind of the smoke test, wherein earlier it was using sprockets mainly. Now they've switched to Webpack, so the layout has changed. So a lot of auto package test breakage was caused by that. And in general, I think some of the API changes, maybe deprecations, I did not try to fix many of them. I just file bugs for most of the other failures. So the most common one was the auto package test failure caused by switch from sprockets to Webpack by default.
Mm-hmm.
But those were simple fixes, I think. But it just was, there was too many of them. So.
Right. Yeah, maybe you can try looking if we have too many Rails reverse dependencies. Maybe there are stuff there that was used by GitLab or Redmine in the past, but it's not used anymore, and it just stay there.
Yeah, I think I've flagged some packages for removal, which could be, I think, I don't know, some of the Rails assets things. And the diaspora upstream itself is now very slow to update, so I don't know when they're going to catch up to Rails 6. They don't have any plans as such. Yeah, so many of those like dependencies for diaspora, it could be simply removed from testing. Probably we could get them in Bullseye backports. I don't think we'll get diaspora into Bullseye.
Well, there are also many more dependencies of Lumio, and Lumio is not in the archive, so it might seem that they don't have any reverse dependencies, but in reality, they are actually being worked upon because of Lumio. So, yeah.
Yes, but we want Rails in testing, and we don't need the dependencies for stuff that's not in the archive in testing as well. So they can be at least removed from testing so that Rails can migrate. And
Definitely.
Yeah, but I think the yarn package
when they are fixed.
real blocker yarn package. Until that is fixed, we can't get there.
Right.
So the yarn package is blocked because node request is being phased out, but still many packages are still using it. So there is a grave bug on it. And since it's a dependency on Ruby realities, we have a dependency to yarn package. So you talked about recommends. You thought it was a recommend, but it's a depends currently. Could it be lowered to recommends? Is it needed for everything to build on Rails to work properly?
I think if somebody is using Rails as a development, like directly using Rails as a instead of as a dependency, someone wants to develop Rails applications, and if they install the Debian's Rails package, when somebody do a Rails new foo, some Rails default application, it expects the yarn package to be there.
Okay, but a recommends would suffice for that. For example, Redmine doesn't use it, but has been blocked for a long time because of this problem, and that's probably not going to be solved anytime soon because it's not easy.
Maybe we should not optimize for using Rails from Debian for development, because that's the first thing we hear from upstream people when we talk about packaging Ruby stuff in Debian, is that no Rails developer will ever use our packages, which is not true. I did use that for a long time, but it's the majority. So maybe we should not wait forever, like to have a perfect Rails stack before being able to have Rails in testing, because developing Rails apps is not really our main use case, I guess.
So I would suggest that we lower to recommends now, and if you really wanted to have a depends when yarn package is fixed, then maybe we can switch back. If you really want to keep it as a dependency, because that's blocking a lot of packages using Ruby realities. So
I suggest, Praveen, can you create a summary of what's pending on Rails, and then we try to organize in the mailing list the best way of going forward, so that we don't stay forever waiting for other stuff.
Yeah, I think I'll send a summary to the mailing list.
Nice.
Thank you.
Perfect. I think let's move on because we're running short of time. Not really, but we've got a lot of things to discuss. But Kanashiro wants to step down from OBS maintenance. I think he'll probably talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, I had a note there because, as we have discussed in our latest RC monthly meetings, some apps delayed the Rails transitions, and if I think if you are not interested in some apps, we should not work on them anymore, because Underly and Nectar is also a commentator of this package, so I don't know their plans for OBS, but I'm not interested on it anymore. So if someone is willing to keep this package updated and healthy, I would be happy to mentor someone. I just want to mention that.
All right. They want to continue next for what we want to achieve for the next release, probably.
Okay, so let's go. So I think, as I mentioned, the main thing that we can do for bullseye release, if we decide to do that, is the Ruby 3.0, which will be released at the end of December probably. So we could the release candidate should be released before that. I don't know, October or November. I don't know. So I don't know if you want to take that risk because it's a major bump. So it will probably break a lot of stuff.
I don't think there's enough time for doing a transition.
Yeah, it's like 2 months.
We can have it like a preview. They usually release a preview release by this time of the year.
Yes, and RC should be out in next month or so.
Yeah, we can start playing with it. Do you know if there are any like very big change in terms of backwards compatibility?
Yeah, I think there are some breaking changes. So
There are definitely a lot of breaking changes. I can assure you that. I read some threads
I
on
think
Reddit. So
if we get to like experimental, we would now automatically run all the auto package tests. We could just
yeah,
find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can try to do the same that I did for the last transition, so I can stage this new version in experimental and run, try to rebuild the reverse dependencies and publish uh, this outcome to publish somewhere and send a link to the mailing list, and we can start to think about it for the other release cycle. Not
yeah, I
for
think that's probably the best way forward. It'll give us a broad picture about what's coming for us and how we should go about it. I think that's probably the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to add, I think the auto package test part will be already handled by, I think, the official DebCI. Only the rebuilds probably we need to handle.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but then we'll see. Well, because to test against a new Ruby, you have to change Ruby defaults. So then you have to have that in experimental as well. I'm not sure that um, the auto package test will use that version because it's going to run against the the Ruby all dev package from unstable anyway. So it won't test against Ruby 3.
Can't we set some specific
Yeah,
trigger?
we can run the test by ourselves, like do the submissions ourselves. Then we can pin the exact set of package that we need. But the automated experimental testing that Paul mentioned in his part of our talk is not going to work because we need both the new interpreter and the new version of Ruby defaults that enables testing against Ruby 3.
So we can write a script and
Yes.
to submit those requests to the website API, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I can work on that.
Perfect. I think let's move on for now. So the next topic on the agenda is possible sprints in 2021. Well, sprints. I'm pretty sure sprints would be a great idea to have either for Ruby 3.0 or otherwise. We did a lot of nice things in the sprints last year. It was really worth it. So I think having a sprints again would probably be a good idea. I'm not sure how or when rather can we have an in-person sprint, and when the world would be a better place to have such a sprint. But I think we can sure have an online sprint sometime like in next month or so if we plan for staging the RC release in experimental. And probably I think we should plan for a sprint ahead of time. And in case things improve for 2021, I think Jörg was willing to host a sprint in Germany. I'm not sure if it's still the same or are there any changes. So probably it's better we discuss this on the list, I think.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not sure we'll be able to do an in-person sprint anytime soon. So we should probably target an online one, to be honest.
Yeah, right. So probably I will send a more detailed mail to the list about the sprints, and let's see how it goes. So should we move on? So the next topic is my GSOC project. Okay, so well, the goal was of this project. I mean, first of all, thanks to Tercero and David, they did a great job, and I mean, of course, I bugged them a lot. You know, I kind of always keep pinging them for anything, and they've been very kind to me, devoting the time. and pair programming with me. So a really big thanks to them. And so, yeah, the goal of the project was to write some kind of tooling that can help detect some basic issues that we face. For instance, having Git in the gemspec file, or using require relative from test to lib, or using require with relative path, and maybe having bundler setup calls inside the test. So these are some problems that we face regularly. So we worked on writing a linter. It's an extension to Rubocop. So as for now, I'll just talk about the things that we have achieved. So at the time, right now, I mean at the moment, I've written 4 cops, and there have been 4 releases. One more release will be rolled out probably next week. So it detects Git in gemspec file using require relative calls from lib to from specs to lib. Then using require calls with relative path, and using bundler setup calls inside the spec directory, inside the test directory in general. So it detects all these pieces of code and flags them as an offense. So they're also in the Debian archive. So either you can gem install it, or you can sudo apt install it. So it is the best part is it's also integrated with the upstream. So upstream Rubocop. So you can find the docs at packaging.rubystyle.guide, and this is the packaging style guide about explaining about what we want to change. I mean, about how we want to change, how we want certain pieces of code to look like. For instance, require ... /foo should change to require foo instead of, require relative ... /foo should change to require foo, and so on. So it suggests changes that we want to bring in. And another part is that we've also got docs, the rubocop.org/rubocop packaging. That is the name of the library, Rubocop packaging, that I've written. So right now it's just a scaffold, but I've almost covered all the information, documentation, and rationale inside the packaging style guide itself. So that is there. And the best part also is that 24 upstream libraries have been using Rubocop packaging so far. So it's like entire Cucumber toolchain has been using Rubocop packaging, and there are lots of other gems that we have been using Rubocop packaging, and probably soon GitLab will also be using Rubocop packaging. I mean, I just talked to some people there; they'd be interested, sure. So that is a nice thing. And lastly, well, there's some stuff remaining. So this is more like an RFH, request for help here. So what we want to do now is that in case, while packaging or while maintaining the libraries that we do in Debian, in case we find all these offenses, like using Git or required calls, etc., please forward those upstream patches. I mean, it's a bit of manual work at the start, but I'm sure it's going to be worth it. So forward some patches, including probably a development dependency on Rubocop packaging. And of course, just don't submit a pull request doing so or an issue doing so. Just explain why we want to do that. And you can use the link that is packaging.rubystyle.guide or docs.rubocop.org/Rubocop packaging as the explanation. It has been very well documented. And you can be a little more nicer. So I think I've raised around 15 to 16 pull requests in different upstream dropping Git. And they've been so kind to me, and they've liked what we're doing here. And all of them have been merged. No pull requests have been closed so far. So it's just that I've been more nice to them, and I've been explaining very politely and gently about why we're doing that. It takes some time in starting, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be worth it because, also that I want to mention that not only I am adding Robocop packaging as a dependency and asking people to do that now, people have themselves started doing that. So it's just that I kickstarted this thing and people are following with that, and that's kind of nice. So all it needs is a little bit of your support. So in case you find such things during the maintenance of Ruby packages, please just forward the patches and just link to the docs, add Robocop packaging probably as a dependency. I'm pretty sure they'll be like kind enough to do so. And if you feel there are like more generic issues that we can incorporate in the tool, please feel free to open issues, and we can probably add another cop, a linter, inside the linter, and we can flag those offenses, and we can work with upstream to, in some kind of way that can benefit us both. So besides us, lastly, there's more documentation to come, and where I need your help in incubating a FAQ, probably a FAQ, where we mention who are the targeted audience and why are we doing that. I've done most of the documentation, but some parts of it are left. So yeah, we need to spread a little bit more awareness. I'll continue to do so with my DD hat on, and probably since I started this thing, but I cannot do it alone, of course. So it needs a bit of your support, and there's more awesomeness to come. So
Yep.
that's it from the
Part of this is maintaining an up-to-date version of our recommendations to upstream. So the issues that the tool that Utkarsh wrote is, the point of it is to detect the issues, the type of things we also always have to patch from our packages, like to make the auto package test work and to make it build without having Git or without being in a Git repository. So we tried to, at the beginning we went on code search and tried to find common types of things we usually patch. Maybe we missed some, so we can add new checkers, and that would be nice. But then I think going forward, the most important thing is we keeping this documentation up to date. So at some point, Utkarsh linked our old upstream recommendations page, and it was mentioning you should be using setup.rb, which is like 10 years behind. So we need to keep this documentation so that upstreams so that upstream knows why we need them to make those changes. And as this gains traction, then maybe we'll have to patch less things in the future.
Yeah, and we love your help in the documentation. You can raise issues, and brownie points for submitting patches. So
Yeah, I think I want to just mention one probably a common issue that is similar to the relative require. It's not as common, but I think it's common among packages that they use a jump file where they reference jump spec from the jump file. But if you remove the lib directory, then jump spec won't find that library. So I don't know whether how we can...
There's the using bundler/setup in the tests. So that's one of the things. Utkarsh has been working on this in the last days, so it's something that's going to be there.
Yeah, it's already done. Our bundler setup cop is ready. It's just going to be released next week. So yeah, that is well taken care of.
Okay,
So
let's go ahead. Oh, sorry.
There will be the bundler thing, and also I think another issue is because the gem spec references relative to lib. If the gem spec is
usually okay because they use that to get the library version number and that kind of thing. And
no, I think he's not referring to that using recurrent lib.
Okay, so
he's not. referring
if the
to that.
GenSpec tries to load something from lib and it's not there
Yeah.
when running
Yeah.
tests. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can find a list of maybe 2 or 3 packages that do that and point to us, then we can
Yeah, I
try
think
to.
I remember Ruby combustion is one. That is because earlier I was not able to find out how to fix it, but I think finally Daniel fixed it for Ruby combustion, and then I was trying to use for other packages.
Okay.
Maybe you can open an issue in the Rubycop packaging repository. So we have all these things there, and maybe once I make the release next week, I'll have time to work on that as well.
Okay, I'll open.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. We have one item left in 5 minutes, so maybe we should move on.
Yeah. So the next part is any other business. So first of all, that I wanted to talk about is, do we want to continue the monthly meetings? Because it looks to me that we've been kind of revolving around the same topic, that is Rails, for a while now, and surprisingly, that people aren't there generally during the time of the meeting. I mean, that's okay, but it's just that it's been less engaging, and we just keep on running in circles around Rails and stuff, which is also not. I mean, a lot of people don't really care about the Rails maintenance, so which is all right. I mean, which is okay. So probably we need to make these meetings more engaging, and also we need to talk about if we want to continue these monthly meetings or make it bi-monthly so that we have more diverse content to talk about.
Yeah, I think monthly is okay. We just need to make it more interesting. Like,
Why not make a video call like we do today? Seems more lively that we
Yeah.
do. We don't have the IRC bot to take the notes for us, but we can find another way.
That's a great suggestion. Sure, I'm open to it. We can always try.
Yeah, I also mentioned to Utkarsh that when we don't have an agenda for a meeting, we can use that as LHF, so we can do some hands-on work. And because in the last meeting we didn't have any agenda, so people didn't show up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's nice.
yeah, I think the issue is we need someone to mobilize everyone else, like to collect the LHFs and post it to the mailing list. I think Utkarsh is doing this anyway for the
Yeah.
meeting, so maybe, yeah, we just need a way of I think you can use Tracker to get stuff to do, or maybe UDD.
Yeah, sure.
Then do you volunteer to do that? I mean, is it okay?
Partly, yeah. I think so. In the initial month, I can. But it's just that if people are responsive towards it, if you're getting more traction, if you're doing some good work, I'm sure I can help. It's just that we've been very less active for the meetings lately. So yeah.
Yeah, sounds a good plan.
Okay. So do you want to meet next Friday, the first week?
Yeah, the next Friday is
Next to next would be, I think. Yeah.
Okay, we have 2 more minutes.
So 2 more minutes, 2 more quick things. So from the DebConf 19, there was an action needed section where we're supposed to create a page for the newcomers and improve the documentation and probably host it on GitLab pages. We already have, I think, ruby.pages.debian.net, something like that. Debbie, how far have we come on there?
We have a blog there where Daniel posted the reports from the sprint. I guess we can use that same page to add the documentation. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think Kanashiro at this point, so he might have more to chip in.
No, I was just checking the action needed items from the last BoF. just
Ah,
copy.
okay. Okay. So maybe someone needs to work on writing documentation there as well. So this is something we can do all of this together during some LHF or something. So this might just keep it more engaging. And I think we're running
Yeah,
out of time.
we are
So,
out of time.
Yeah.
so let's just wrap it up. And thank you so much for joining in. It's nice to see all of you again. And I hope sometime we'll all be there in person as well.
Yeah, thank you everyone. So we
Yeah.
are ending here.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, folks. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.